Prepare to get offended. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about this very interesting article that I've come across that says 34% of young women are single compared to 63% of young men. So 63, 34, that's a really big gap, really big difference. And there's quite a few questions. Why? Why is that? Why is it that so many young men, and when I say quote unquote young, I'm talking about people in their 20s. That's what the article referred to, from age 20 to 29. These are the numbers. Why is that? Well, there's a few reasons. Some want to say it's because of the LGBT experience. Some want to say it's because women are dating older. Some want to say it's because women are dating the same guys. And then for the men having such a very high rate, they're going to say, oh, they're playing too many video games, watching too much online explicit material, stuff like that. And before I continue, this video might get a little bit adult. So if you got youngins around, please beware. But there's quite a few reasons for what's happening. Here's an article. I won't read this article. I'll just give you the headline because that encapsulates what's happening here. Most young men are single. Most young women are not. Okay. And it's a really big problem. Before I get to the whys, let's talk about why it's a problem. For the women, it might not necessarily be a problem. I guess it could be. I'll talk about that maybe a little bit later, but the men, that's going to be the biggest issue. The men are not going to be motivated. What's the point of a man really going hard to innovate, to be in society, contributing in a very positive and meaningful way? What's the point in doing that when there's no family to look out for? If you're a man that has a wife and kids, you're going to be more likely to go out there and hustle and grind and go hard for them than you are for yourself. There's a bunch of memes floating around. I know you guys have seen it, where it'd be a picture of a really basic living room setup, mattress on the ground, maybe a futon with a really flat mattress on it, a very small entertainment center, if anything at all, maybe a TV on the ground with a PlayStation, and they're good. And then it'd be a caption that says, men live like this and see nothing wrong with it. And typically we do. If we are very young, don't have any kind of family, we don't see anything wrong necessarily with living like that. That's not really that big of a deal. But once you get a wife and kids, now you got to get a house or at least a better place. You want to try to figure out a way to take care of your kids in college and trying to get them a car. You're going to try to find ways to do it. You may not necessarily be able to do it, but you're going to go above and beyond to be able to do it. Okay. But if you don't have that motivation, it's easy to just say, I'll do nothing. I'll stay home. I'll collect an unemployment check. I'll get a government benefits check, a stimulus check. I'll just stay here, which is why so many young men are dropping out of the workforce. That's an issue that we have been seeing, young men leaving the workforce. And people are like, why is that happening? Is it because they're just being lazy? Is it because of the pandemic? Well, maybe so. But I think that men are having a really hard time finding a woman and starting a family. So they don't see the purpose in going so hard. Why go so hard just to get money when it's not going to work anyway? You know, it makes no difference. Why do it? Now, let's get to the women. Here's a question. Who are the women dating? Why is there a big gap in between the men and the women as far as young people being single? Okay. 34, 63. Big difference. The women, you do have some LGBT in there, but we could kind of cancel that out because there's quite a few LGBT men. Quite a few. All right. Go to Midtown Atlanta. You'll see them everywhere, all over the place. They got clubs and bars. It's a lot of LGBT men. And I think the LGBT men is equivalent to the LGBT women. So you can cancel that out. That doesn't account for the gap because that's also included in the number of males who say that they have somebody or dating or whatever. Okay. Cancel that out. The bigger issue here is the women that date the same man and the top tier of men, and also women that date older men. And a lot of times this quote unquote older man is going to be the top tier guy. For example, You have one guy that has $1 million. He'll date 15 to 20 women if he wants to. He can at least date 3 to 5 women at a time. And then all of them say, well, that's my boyfriend, or we're in a relationship, or we're together. You see how that kind of works? And then not only that, it does a couple of things. It reduces the number of men who are going to have access to a woman, and it's going to create more women that are not single or are dating than men. That's kind of how that is. And I think in the West, there's more women than men, like 51 to 49%. But it doesn't matter when you got 3 and 4 or 5 women dating one man at a time. It doesn't matter when they are not dating in their age group as far as that number. You got a lot of girls that's in their mid-20s dating 30s, 40s, and up. That's not abnormal. That's really kind of an old thing. But I think it's gotten worse with social media. Oh, man, social media is probably to blame here because check it out. What goes on is this. You'll have the women, like your average everyday person, your average normie, female woman has access to the entire world. In days past, before social media, dating apps, the most you could do is date the boy next door or go to college and find somebody there. But now she can not only date the boy next door, but also guys in college and whoever she finds online. The world is now her oyster. She could be average looking, not ugly, not super pretty, but average looking, and then have access to this millionaire guy that would have been impossible just a few years ago. Again, she could be average looking, not really some kind of stunning, drop dead, gorgeous model, which most people aren't, male or female. But she has access to the top tier guys. And a lot of times she'll take it. I'm not going to say all the time, but to explain this gap, sometimes women will say, you know what, it's better to be this man's second and third and fourth girlfriend than to date somebody that's my age that can't provide what I want them to provide financially, emotionally, whatever it is, physically. Now, the men have access to the world as well, but only a certain number of men will be able to have access to a lot of women. You're talking about the top 10%, 20% at best, compared to probably about 70% of women who fall into the okay looking average category versus for a man, you got to be at the top tier. That's what's happening. Dating apps, social media, access to the whole world. It's creating situations where people become more isolated because they have fewer opportunities to meet people due to the top tier people having more options than them. And also it's easy just to be, attached to your devices rather than being out, especially when everybody else is as well. Now, again, I'm not saying this for like a total blanket statement. Not all, not everybody, but I'm just talking about what's happening right now with young people in that 20 to 29 age group. That's what's going on. That explains why this is an issue. And I think that you guys may have experienced it. And if you have, let me know in the comments below. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? How do you explain the gap between 20-year-old females, 20 to 29-year-old women and 20 to 29-year-old males and the number of people that have somebody, the dating gap? How do you explain the gap? Was I right? Did I miss anything? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys pretty much know where I'm at. I think technology has in many ways advanced us, but also has changed us. And I'm not sure it changes for the better. In ways we've become more intelligent, more knowledgeable. When we're talking about human relationships, things have changed and not necessarily for the better, unfortunately. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.